Hello and good morning, and it's the first video I'm making in 2020, so I'm quite excited. Okay, so it's 2020, we're now in another decade, 10 years, every 10 years a decade, etc., and it's quite exciting really. However, even though I do not really anticipate a positive and vibrant future for humanity, I see human spirit really destroying itself. However, talking about the human spirit destroying itself, I want to do a video on what is the Christian New Age? What is New Age Christianity? What does it really mean? Christian New Age or New Age Christianity. Now, obviously, the term New Age means it's a new age of consciousness, a new age of values where old traditional values are thrown out, and a new era of social and spiritual construction is built, on, if you like, the philosophers of old who had a humanist agenda. Even the infamous occult thinker Alistair Crowley, and also what's his name? Oh, Freud, and amongst other New Age, if you like, Freemason thinkers. These people have always wanted to revamp consciousness and religious values. They wanted to put human, if you like, existentialism or human individualism at the forefront, and their intention was to get rid of God, His salvation, and obviously the biblical principles. And a lot of philosophers, I will try to post links while I'm making this video. A lot of philosophers are actually the brainchild of the Western consciousness, the Western political, religious, spiritual construction. It was built on the backs of philosophers who, if you like, had that mandate to shift social consciousness and introduce a new God revolution. God not of the Bible, but you can be God. You can look within yourself and create God the way you want him or her, quote unquote, to be. So the definitions of how you define the divinity becomes wider, and one cap does not suit everyone. Joel Austin, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, they have helped to peddle this new brand of Christianity by focusing on prosperity, individualism, motivational speeches, the great I am. You can be whatever you want to be. So you take out a text out the Bible, usually out of context, and then you make it sound the way that you want to sell it or to rebrand it. It's not, unusual. Even, the greatest occultist can take a text, from the scriptures and use it to justify, believe it or not, Satanism. Remember that in the Garden of Gethsemane, no, it wasn't. No, on the Mount Olives. I do apologize. Where Satan appeared to Christ using the scriptures, against the Son of Man. So you can use the Bible in any way you want. You can twist it, okay? And a lot of occultists, New Age thinkers, are not shy of doing that. Just because somebody uses the Bible does not mean that, they adhere to the very principles of salvation, emancipation, of what it really means. They use it for their own purpose. I remember one guy, he was a hippie, and to which he replied that all the stories in the Bible are allegorical, metaphorical, symbolic. They're not really sort of genuine. What you do, you take from it, and it's become esoteric. It's more about spiritual process, spiritual growth. So you can take from it what you want and twist it. The new age of Christianity is where a lot of people now are called, if you like. There's a woman who I think she's in California, who calls herself a Christian witch. A Christian witch, the church now has been so rebranded that they've now accept anything and everything goes, because as long as you use the term, all have fallen short. That's another classic quote. All have fallen short, or don't judge. Now, on these principles, you can actually create a new age Christianity. All have fallen short, and you should not judge. And another favorite is love consciousness, love the universe, love everything, accept everything. That is the new age Christianity, revamping things, changing consciousness. And by doing that, right, love, that means you've been a good Christian. Accept anything, no matter how perverse. You're being a Christian by loving. And also not judging. So no matter what, you see pagan festivals and Canaanite revolution, it doesn't matter. Don't judge. And you're being a good Christian. That is the new age, if you like, rebranded version. It's a humanism, if you like, Satanism and humanism, showing a beautiful face. It's all about the individual. The individual can become God, the great I am. Believe, cast your seeds and words of faith. These are made popular by a lot of prosperity preachers. You go to church and you wouldn't even know, whether your pastor is promoting New Ageism. You wouldn't even know whether if he or she is promoting another counterfeit gospel. And the reason being, as long as you open the Bible, as long as you open it, you could come out with gobbledygook. In fact, I was watching a comedy. No, it wasn't a comedy. It was a horror movie. It wasn't a comedy. And this, I think it's based on a true story. And this pastor, fake pastor, says, I'm going to mention butter bean soup or something, and grandma's caramel bread, and he gave the person gave him a bet that he could not just mention it during his preaching to show how dumb his audience were. So he'd preach and they mentioned butter soup and grandma's bun, and people, amen. This is the state of religious psychosis. This is how you just open the Bible, you could talk nonsense, and people will go off into tongues. Marjo, the guy who admitted he was a fake faith healer. He went around America getting people to speak in tongues, yet he was fake. Just open the Bible, you can get people to do strange things. Right? This is religious psychosis. This is the mental state of a lot of people who call themselves Christians. They don't even know what truth is. This is how the New Ageism is now entered into the church. Don't judge. You can be whatever you want to be. The God consciousness, it's all about the individual. Do not offend anybody. And this is what's happening now. I'm trying to rescue myself out of this mud here, right? This is what's happening now. And if you want to survive, if your church is to remain open, and you are to, forever get money from your congregation without being shut down for offending someone, the best way, of rebranding your business is don't offend anyone. Anybody can be a Christian. I remember one program where this presenter, all she did was sing a few hymns. That's all she did, sing a few hymns. And she wasn't even a Christian, just was invited on songs of praise. Oh, I feel like a good Christian now. Just because she sang a few hymns, she felt like a Christian. So you can be whatever you want to be in this millennium consciousness, in this new age consciousness. Anything goes. You can reconstruct your identity, and whether it's political, whether it's gender, whether it's religious, you can be whatever you want to be. That is the age of new ageism, right? There's Jack Danier, a philosopher. His destiny was to challenge language, where language no longer means what it means anymore. And it's not just language that is being assaulted, but also spiritual, political, and religious values. And the whole principle, the whole thrust was to undermine Christianity. That was the whole thrust. That was the whole intention. If you can start to change language, start to change consciousness, you start to change principles and values, then, if you like, you start to challenge the Christian structure. And that was the whole reasons why the Freemasons, the Illuminati, Aleister Crowley, Sigmund Freud, who was Jewish, even Einstein, who was Jewish. That's the reason why they incorporated the sciences, the alchemy, as a means in which to challenge the Christian faith. Now you can say you're a Christian witch. You can now say that you're a Protestant, you're a witch. In fact, there are witches now who try to confuse Christians, because Christians are easily confused. Kanye West, are now conning the Christians. So you can easily, con Christians. They're the most gullible group out. And there are now witches now who are going around saying, oh, I'm a Christian witch. They know full well that they're not. But what they're doing is they're using that to confuse, to create a smokescreen, knowing full well that the gullible, right, will buy into their nonsense. So a new age Christianity, is where one cap does not fit all. You can be whatever you want to be. You can say, I'm feeling good today, I feel like a Christian. There's no real definition anymore. But open the Bible and make it sound the way you want it to sound. That is the new age Christianity. Don't offend anyone. A lot of pastors now are brought into it, and the reason being, new ageism is big business. It's all about mind, science, and mind over matter, and ask and believe and receive. And Joel Osteen and Oprah Winfrey, they bought into this big time. From the time you see, Oprah Winfrey is actually a witch. She actually says she's a witch. She loves going to Joel Osteen's gathering. From the time you see Oprah Winfrey going to Joel Osteen gathering, and T.D. Jakes, from the time you see a witch like that, happy and comfortable, you know something don't make sense. Oprah Winfrey going to Joel Osteen's gathering, and she go to T.D. Jakes, and she's happy, you know something don't make sense. What branding of new age philosophy are they giving to you? There's something that they are doing that's making Oprah Winfrey and the likes of those who have that mindset happy. There's something that they're doing with the teachings that would make even the devil himself go and sit down and listen, have a cup of tea and a biscuit. So this is, if you like, how they rebrand things. This is how they change it to confuse you. And as long as you use the franchise, as long as you use the franchise, as long as you use the brand, then it's like if you're going to open a Subway or McDonald's or KFC and you take the franchise, okay, as long as you take the franchise, you can use that name. And that's what Joel Austin do, TD Jakes, you know, Creflo Dollar. They use the franchise, use that name, knowing for a while it's gonna deceive people, and that's how they do it. Okay, use the franchise, and people say, "Oh yes, you know, this is where I belong because they have that franchise. This is, you know, they represent my beliefs," but they do not. They're just trading and doing a business under a false name, which they're exploiting for their own agenda. I hope you enjoyed this video, the first one I'm doing in 2020, and there'll be plenty more. So please do, if you haven't, subscribe, and it promises to get even hotter. Okay, so although I don't believe in Happy New Year, I do hope that 2020, right, will be positive for you. And no doubt, let me know what you think of this video. Okay, thank you. Over and out.